Namaste, amazing friends. It's Neha, and I'm really happy to be back with you. Today, we will continue to explore the world of statelessness and learn what we can do to make a big difference. Remember last time that I shared some stories with you? Stories from the book The Girl Who Lost a Country and my journey in it. We learned the way in which people can become stateless and that statelessness takes away many rights from people. But here's the exciting part: we can do something to change the situation. First, it is important that you know what your rights are. International law says that all children should be treated the same way, no matter where they come from, how they look, or what they believe in. Your identity, including your nationality, is the big part of your rights. Nobody should take it away from you, and no child should ever be left stateless. As a child, you also have many rights, like right to go to school. But if you don't have the right to nationality, it's hard to enjoy these rights. Now, you might be wondering, what can you do from your part if your government does not give you nationality or takes it away? It can seem quite tough, right? Well, in many countries, you can ask a lawyer to help you go to the court, like my mother did. The court will decide if you have been treated fairly or unfairly according to the law. But what if the law itself is wrong and discriminates against you? That makes it more complicated but not impossible. Many people around the world fight back every day. They protest, speak to leaders, and run campaigns. They do everything they can. And they cooperate because they know it's hard to change things alone. Having people who support you is very, very important. Let me share an inspiring story with you. The Supergirl from The Girl Who Lost a Country meets meets in Kenya the Makonde community, people from Makonde community. They had tried legal ways to ask their government for citizenship, but they were never successful. It's not always easy to be listened to, even when you're talking about rights that everyone should have. But do you know what the Makonde did? They gathered and together they walked 526 kilometers from the coast to the Nairobi, Kenya's capital. A long, peaceful march for their rights. To be seen, to be heard. They faced challenges on the way and they were stopped by the police many times, but they never stopped and were never afraid because they were together. And you know what? They achieved their goal. They got their citizenship, and even the president asked for their forgiveness. This shows the power of coming together to fight for what is right. Another hero in our story is my mother. It is thanks to her determination that I have my Nepali citizenship today. Many people joined our campaign, Citizenship in the Name of Mother, and we are fighting together to ensure that there are no more stateless children in Nepal or in the world. There is no alternative to fighting this war or fighting this fight. And the only way to win it is by joining forces and using our voices. Speaking of using your voices, did you know that according to international law, you have the right to speak and say what you believe? And adults should listen to you when you do. It's super important to use your voice to raise awareness about statelessness. Share your stories and ask others to support you. Of course, to really challenge things, we must change the bad laws, and policymakers are the ones who can do it. Our role? We need to put our heads and hearts and voices together to persuade these policymakers to make the necessary changes. We're the advocates for a brighter future, and every word we speak, every effort we make can make a very big impact. During the awareness month, on childhood statelessness and education. We are collecting children's questions to ask policymakers. So, why don't you send us the questions or any queries that you may have and share your opinion on statelessness with us? We can make a real contribution to changing the situation. Awareness Month still has many activists or activities going on around the world in different countries. The work of the amazing people who are organizing them can be another example for you to see what it means to be the activist. Now, it is the moment to answer the interesting questions that you sent to me. Now, in this next session of the video, which is about the question and answer, I'll read or try to answer 2 or 3 questions that the children from different parts of the world have sent to me. Let's start. The first section of the question is I've grouped 2-3 questions into the same categories as they entail same objective. So these include, the first is from the anonymous sender who asks that what are your problems without having birth registration and how did you cope with it? The second question is from Jigme Norbu who asks that what would you do if you got your nationality? And the second question is from Sweta Yonzan who asks that is it that hard to live to be a stateless person? So basically all these 3 questions, what they I assume what they ask is that what are the challenges that people with lived experience of statelessness or children with lived experience of statelessness face? What are the challenges and what are the difficulties they have to cope with? Answering collectively to all these 3 friends as they all ask about the problems faced by lack of nationality documents or problems of stateless children. Life without nationality document or a life as a stateless person is really harsh. This is because countries often secure most rights either for its citizens or at least require to know your nationality before providing you any services that the country has to offer. Stateless children lack such documentation and thus they are deprived of most basic rights such as the right to education and right to study or acquire a formal education. And since all human rights are interdependent, lack of right to education or lack of right to formal education, let's say, will inevitably impact the child's other rights. For example, the child's right to personal development, right to livelihood when they grow up and when they want employment. So right of employment is also violated, and there are other rights, for example, right against poverty, social inclusion, and right to food, health, and most importantly, right against discrimination. So there are chains of rights that are violated or impacted when one single right is violated. And in this case, when children are denied the right to education just because they do not have the nationality documents, their other rights are also severely violated or impacted. Now, the second question: what can we do to help you all get your nationality back? So this is a question, I guess. Basically, this is a question from Manish Pariyar, and this is a question that asks what can be the actions or what can be the steps that can be changed to help the situation of statelessness, or what can be the contributions made by friends like you or anyone. So there are a lot of things you can do to help children who, like me, did not have nationality and thus suffered was denied the right to education. For example, you can do advocacy by writing a letter demanding stateless children's right to education and have them signed among all the friends and family, and then submit it collectively to your local government or even to the International Committee on the Rights of Child. And to do this, to submit or to reach, to ensure that your voices or your letters or your petitions reach to the International Committee on Rights of Child, what you can do is you can submit that petition on the neha@institutesi.org, which we will this email will also include in the YouTube description section. You can send those petitions or letters or writings to this email, and we will ensure that it reaches to the International Committee on the Rights of Child. Or alternatively, you can submit those write-ups, letters, or petitions to your local governments as well. Um, the next thing you could probably do is you can give power to and be kind to your friend or people you encounter who lack nationality documents and are denied of a formal education, because kindness is always good. You can reach out, research about childhood statelessness in your community, or educate yourself about it and make yourself aware about it and share that awareness with others too. So these are just some examples of what you could do. Well, there are many, many things that you can do to help. I'm sure when you're listening to me, the more ideas must have popped into your head right now. So think about them in a deeper level and write it on paper and execute it, and try to execute them. For more information on things you can do to raise awareness about statelessness and be an activist for change, as well as for other great resources to learn about statelessness, check out this website called www.kids.worldstateless.org. We'll also include this link of the website in the YouTube description section where you can find it and access it. We will also include we'll basically include this link and the email that where you can send your concerns, letters, petitions. And yes, for all those who have submitted your questions to me, thank you for supporting by asking them. We hope to advocate together, friends. Finally, I will present to you this week's challenge. So welcome to the Stateless Dare challenge section of this video. Now, this time, you can join me by talking to a person, a friend or your classmate with whom you have not talked to in a while. Ask them. So basically this week's challenge is to talk to a person, friend or classmate that you've not talked to in a while. Ask them how they have been doing, and also share your updates with them. Initiate a conversation with such a person, friend or classmate, and just listen to them. By doing this, you will strengthen your friendship with them, and by showing interest in what they have to say, you will make them feel heard. The world needs more and more acts of kindness, and as a social being, it is always good to have a friend with whom you can share and chat. After the conversation, if you feel like sharing about your conversation, or how did you feel about it, you can always write to neha@institute.si.org. Thank you for all your wonderful questions, and please keep talking about statelessness with others. The more they hear about it, the more we can change the world for the better. Your actions are super important for making the world a more inclusive and fair place. Namaste.